We can
Whip
get
it, girl.
started. We're ready. Did they play the intro? Will you?
Project management is reflected in the variety of speakers we have confirmed for today's summit. Sit back, relax, and engage, knowing many hours of preparation was spent making sure you will be motivated and enlightened with our next speaker for today.
Hello, hello. It has been a long day for some of you, longer for some others of us. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sticking it out with us for the rest of this conference. This technology and project management conference has been awesome. Today we have with us Beverly Hathorn. She is a project manager, and she is leading she's talking actually about introverted project managers and phenomenal project management engagement. So I'm calling you doctor. That I gave you,
Prophecy.
I gave you a blessing. So go with it, because it has happened to many people that I coach. They go on and get their PhDs. So Beverly Hathorn, welcome. It's a pleasure to have just met you not more than a week and a half ago or so. And here we are doing an interview. So thank you. Thank you. So tell us a
Thank you
little
for the
bit about
opportunity.
you are welcome. So tell us a little bit about what you do in the HR space as a project manager, and some of the gems of what is your suite solutions that you offer.
Well, thank you so much, Elaine, and thank you for having me. And I am a owner and managing director of Strategic HR Consultants. I work with clients to maximize team performance and improve productivity. I do this by accessing detailed process reviews to make sure there's no redundant and repetitive and unnecessary steps and processes. I review the customer journey to see how effective and efficient it is for the customer to work with my client. And I also evaluate the team dynamics, the project team dynamics, just to make sure that they support each other, they're working in a conducive manner, just to make sure there's a culture of unity, because in a project situation, we all need to work together. That's a must do.
That is. So I would like to know, based on what you just said, how do you get teams to work together? Do you do Myers-Briggs? Do you do some kind of an assessment and make sure you're matching people that are able to work well together? Or do you just put them together and you say, hey, work it out, guys?
You're exactly right on both those. Sometimes, we can just generate naturally towards one another. People just naturally work together, especially when they're people that stick to the goal, people who are process driven, people of integrity and dignity who like to follow the rules and do things the way they should be done. But I also, as you mentioned, I do have a product. It's called DISC, and DISC is a personality profile that I have a workshop, and I facilitate DISC to help teams understand each other's perspectives. Unlike some of the other personality profiles out there that just kind of give you a little insight into you, DISC actually gives you insight into your team, the people that you work with. For instance, DISC may reveal to us that Elaine likes to work from a high level, and she likes to get information at a high level, while Beverly might like to just be all in the details. So when Elaine communicates with Beverly, then she would give Beverly full details. And when Beverly communicates with Elaine, she'd give her the high level, the overview. So that's just a smaller example of how DISC can help teams work together and build unity.
Okay, is this disc the same thing as the color coded disc, the disc, or
It
is this
is.
something? Okay,
It
so
is. Mhm.
the reason I ask is that there are some major organizations like Raytheon that they have the employees wear their disc, a color coded
Badges.
card.
Yes.
Yes,
Right. To say I'm a dominant, I'm an influencer, yeah. So, and that kind of, it's a cute little thing to do. But if you've taken any disc assessments when you meet those people in the halls and in the break room and at the water fountain, then you have something to strike up a conversation with. So it's a really
okay.
nice identifier. I really like that companies do that. And you're right, DISC is used by major corporations all over the world. We're actually in about 76 countries right now.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, I saw that. And they even have it like a plaque. So when you walk into someone's
Mhm.
office and you knock on their door, you're like, okay, can't tell this person bad news. I gotta warm them up. I gotta ease into it. I
That's
can't just
right.
say, hey, guess what happened today? So I think, and that's important with project managers because sometimes we're running so fast and we're like, we don't have time. And if you notice that somebody has an assessment that they need a little bit more time.
Mhm.
Um, so you talk about people who are introverted. And so I think people categorize people and they think introverts mean slow, quiet,
Mhm.
they don't talk
Mhm.
much. But I think you sort of hinted to me when we first started talking that it's different. That you said you are an introvert.
I actually am an introvert. I'm a project manager, a professional speaker, a team leader, and an introvert. Some of the most powerful people running businesses today have also already self-classified themselves as introverts. People like Michael Jordan, fabulous athlete, great team player, awesome leader, has classified as an introvert. At Barack Obama, former president of the United States, classified as an introvert. And some people that I wasn't too surprised about, like Mark Zuckerberg, classifies himself as an introvert, but he created one of the most incredible communicative devices of the century. So, introverts are really great leaders. They're people like Lady Gaga, who puts on these fabulous extreme performances and great entertainer and very her costumes are so outlandish almost, just really really big personality, but she's an introvert. So see, introverts are not, it's more a way of processing information and responding to information than it is shy and quiet. And what people consider as shy and quiet is actually an introvert processing information and getting it together so that when he delivers his decisions to you, that is accurate and he's giving you concise and proper information. So that's what goes on with introverts. We're not
Okay.
quiet and shy.
So how to interact with an introvert when you have a team that's like the high performing team that's under a lot of stress with a deadline. Okay, we need to get together. Everybody put the thing on the Kanban board, blah, 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 blah. Mary, I haven't heard from you. What's going on? You feeling sick? What's going on? Come over here. Come over here.
Well, your introvert often, particularly on a project team, can be your anchor because they don't get all flighty, and they remain calm. Typically they remain calm, especially in stressful situations, because most of the time they've done their homework, they know what's going on, they're well informed, they've prepared rebuttals and solutions and answers. They're great problem solvers because they grab a hold to a problem and they stick with it until they get it resolved. So actually, sometimes in those type of situations on a project, your introvert should be your go-to. That can be your anchor.
Interesting,
Mhm.
interesting. And so what happens when you interact with someone who's opposite of your personality? I have a girlfriend and she's the loveliest person, but she's got to tell me the story from the time Christ was conceived. And I'm like, oh my God, please don't do this to me. Please. But let me tell you. And so she says, let me tell you, sit down. I'm like, I'll be right back.
Well,
I
she
can't.
should actually find some introverted friends because introverts are great listeners.
Oh,
They're
you told her to,
attentive
you said she should get
listeners.
rid of me. Is that what you just said? Oh, Beverly.
She should
Beverly.
find some introverted friends because if she likes to come with that much information and data, if she wants someone to sit and listen for long periods of time so that she can just go through her story, introverts are her people because they'll sit and listen very attentively, nod to show that they're actively listening. And then at the end of your spiel, for lack of a better word, they'll tell you what they think because they've listened very carefully and they paid attention and they're empathetic people. So they will kind of put themselves in there with you, whatever spot you're in, they'll put themselves in there with you.
So
So
you're
yeah,
saying they're patient. They are patient and
very
they will
patient.
allow you your space.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
interesting. That's really
Mm-hmm.
interesting. And
Mm-hmm.
can you comment on something? And I know this is not something we talked about before, but I did mention it in one of the other calls. I was in a meeting and this guy started grandstanding, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
misbehaving,
Oh no.
talking over people's stuff. And I was like, oh, no, you don't. And then come to find out he had ADHD. There's
Oh,
no way when you meet somebody for the first time. I mean, I'm not a professional in that area, so I can't assess someone, but I can,
that's
as
right.
a mom, assess bad behavior. And I saw that as bad behavior. So, what
Mm-hmm.
is as an HR person, as a project manager, how do you feel something like that? eh, Obviously, I now check myself when I see
Mm-hmm.
really
Mm-hmm.
extreme
Mm-hmm.
behavior. I say, okay, let
Mm-hmm.
me watch. This could be some of that stuff going on.
Mm-hmm. 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 Well, that was a learning experience, and we all have them, and we're all different. None of us can be expected to be able to identify that type of crisis unless of course maybe you know someone with those issues but it's not your fault that you weren't able to recognize that up front. Most people probably would have come to the conclusion that you did, particularly in a business situation. So that's not your fault, but as an HR person, we're trained to stop, think, and look first to see what might be going on because what is presented may not always be the whole picture. So um, I commend you for coming away from that with learning as opposed to, just not picking up what was actually happening. So
Yeah.
that
So
was,
what
yeah, that's a
came
good
of
learning
that?
experience.
It was. And what came of that, it was I felt that if I knew I had a disability, I would say, hey guys, just remember I have blah, blah, blah. So that gives me license to do my thing without somebody
Mhm.
attacking me. But the whole group kept pushed back and said, you have no right to know someone's personal
That's
business.
right. That's
But
right.
how do you interact with somebody if they have that could have turned out bad in a private, like you go out in the public
Mm-hmm.
and you act out and somebody's husband said, what do you think you're doing? And then there's an issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
just it's
Yeah,
hard.
yeah, it's a learning. We spend every day learning. Every
Mm.
day we're learning something new, and every day we're presented with something new. So, and you're right, we have no right to ask that person to disclose something like that because a couple of things could happen. Number one, he could be treated differently because of it. He could be not accepted in certain situations because of it. So we can't ask people to disclose that type of information, but as professionals, what we do is what you did. We learn from the situation, and the next time you're presented with that, you'll respond differently. That's
Yeah.
really all you can do, because he has every right to keep that to himself. So, we can't expect people with those disabilities now, especially with all the sensitivity trainings that we're getting. We just have to try to understand. Sometimes you can spot something. Some people wear bracelets. Some people, have something on their phone, or, some people give us something to let us know that there's a problem. But most people try to just blend in with society, which is their right. And they just hope that they don't have these disruptions. There's typically medication, there's counseling. And so we just hope that they don't have these disruptions. But to your point, Elaine, at some point, someone in the organization should be aware, just in case there's a physical incident. And at some point, someone in the organization needs to be aware and how to respond, so that person doesn't injure themselves or injure someone else.
I know. You have so much compassion. You're just like, you're like, oh, I feel better.
I'm an introvert.
Awesome. So let me just see, you had some questions, practices for the team who works with introverts. So you're saying that people who work with introverts need to be more on a heightened alert to how they interact, so that you not, I don't think introverts can be like triggered. Like other people, you trigger them off, they're like, oh man, you pissed me off, blah, blah. I don't see that from introverts.
Well, that's probably a part of their personality, because no personality type is 100%. Even introverts have an extroverted component that you can probably trigger if you say or do the wrong thing. But typically, when on project teams, when you're working with an introvert, keep in mind that in and of itself, that person is quiet and doesn't talk a lot in the meetings. That in and of itself is not indicative of the fact that they don't have anything to contribute, or they're not paying attention, or, that in and of itself. Leaders, maybe the PMO or the stakeholders, leaders should utilize introverts to their highest potential, meaning leaders can draw them out. Leaders can get the benefit of them. Leaders typically know who their high performers are. Maybe other people on the team might not be aware because it's not out in the open, but leaders typically know. So leaders can help those introverts benefit the project team and benefit the organization by helping them become just a little more outgoing, and, just to expose, well, that's the best word I can think of right at the moment, but to just, kind of come out into the open. And what some leaders can do sometime is they can maybe talk to their quiet people that they know have all the answers, and they know are doing all the work, and they know are, on top of things. Just talk to them maybe before the meeting and say, hey, would you mind sharing that? What we talked about, would you mind sharing that with the team? Or would you get on the call and talk to us about that? As opposed to just ripping them on the call, and saying, hey, get up, here's Elaine, and she's going to tell us all about this new thing she's doing, and you'd be like, oh my God, so yeah, there's ways that leaders can help draw them out, and their peers.
They have these tools now. Sorry to interrupt you. They have these tools now where they say, right on the screen, and take the X and put it where you want it. So like people are now playing games while they're in the call, that they're actually drawing, and you can see what everybody else is doing. Take the people and tell me where you think they should go. So I think something an introvert might think, wow, this is good. I don't really have to speak, but I can make my mark and be part of the
That
team. I'm noticing there's
exactly,
more of that,
exactly,
you
exactly.
know.
That's great, Elaine. Yeah. See, you're more compassionate than you.
Oh, compassion.
Yeah, you're understanding.
I'm like mom all the time, even with adults. It's like, what you talk about behaviors,
Mhm.
behaving. You said a word. Was it behaving? It was something like behaving, good behavior, or following the
Mhm.
rules. I
Yes.
always follow the rules. So I'm like, if I have to follow the rules, you have to follow the rules. So
Yes.
that's me. I'm in the lane. I'm in my lane. Why can't you stay in your lane? That's it.
Yes. And rules should always be very clear, documented, because rules are interpretive. What I consider to be the rule may not be what you consider to be the rule unless it's very clear and documented. Rules
Interesting.
always have loopholes and people find them. There's just so many in politics. There's so many rules that are clear cut, you think, but
Mhm.
people find the loopholes. So rules are interpretive. So we should all follow the rules. That shows integrity and dignity, and that is required to remain a project manager. Your PMI certification relies on you following the rules and acting with integrity and dignity. That's one
It
of your
does.
oaths. Yeah.
It does. It
Yeah.
does. It
Mhm.
does. It does. It does. This has been so wonderful. So Beverly, I feel the need to call you Dr. Beverly. There is something about you, man.
Do it. Do
Man,
it.
I'm gonna make you call me
I'll
that too.
answer to it. I'll answer to it. Well, I have heard so many wonderful things about you, Elaine. I feel just blessed to have met you. I've
Thank
heard
you.
how you have ushered people into the project management world, how you have helped people get their certifications, how you've helped businesses. I've been listening all day, and everybody had something wonderful to say about you, and so do I. I find you to be a
Oh,
very genuine and outgoing and
thank
friendly
you.
person, and
Don't make
very
me
knowledgeable
cry.
and skilled.
Don't make
Very
me cry.
knowledgeable and skilled.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. So
Yes.
tell us about your gift that you're giving to the summit.
Okay, so I have two gifts. I have two downloadables for you today. One of the downloadables is for leaders and how they can better identify and develop their introverted project managers. And it gives you all sorts of little tips. It gives you do's and don'ts, things you should do, things you should look for, how you can identify if one of your project managers is introverted and powerful, or if they're just quiet by nature. So that I give you that. And then the other tool that I'm going to leave with you and your audience is a tip sheet for the introverted project manager, things that they can do to help make their day a little smoother and a little easy going, and to help them move through the system in a gentler, less bumpy manner. So those
Awesome.
those are what I'm leaving for you today.
Awesome. 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 Well, Beverly, thank you so much, so much, so much for being part of the summit. They save the best for the last,
Alas, yes.
So thank you so much. I
Yes.
think they're having some kind of a
A rapper.
review in the
Mm-hmm.
next session, but thank you so
Mm-hmm.
much. And I look forward to working with you. There's more opportunities ahead. I think I told you for 12 months, I'm going to keep this group going as long as they'll have
Mm-hmm.
me. And let's see how we can pull
Yes.
something together. So
I
thank you
definitely
again.
look forward to that, Elaine.
Thank
Definitely.
you. Have a great
Thank you
day.
for having me.
You're
You as well.
welcome. Bye, everybody. Thank you for being here.
Bye, folks. Okay. Do I...
Thank you, one and all, for joining us for the Project Management and Technology Summit. We hope you have had a day full of knowledge and value.
Wow.
Make sure to stay tuned because you don't want to miss the wrap-up call coming up next. It is an opportunity for speakers and audience alike to come on camera and share their memories, gratitudes, and newfound wisdom. Hope to see you there.
Okay.